Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's stories. The FBI apprehended a Southern California bank robber. His choice of facial covering earned him the nickname the Green Gaiter Bandit. Southern California police released a new body camera footage of a Walmart shooting that took place earlier this year. The footage shows the moments leading up to the shooting. San Jose has seen an alarmingly high rate of pedestrian traffic incidents since the start of the year. Police remind people to follow road rules and regulations, especially during rush hour. The FBI captured a bank robber in Southern California this week. The thief is known for his iconic green face covering, but law enforcement are still seeking one more individual involved in the string of bank robberies.
The FBI announced this week that a man known as the Green Gaiter Bandit was arrested for allegedly robbing more than a dozen banks. On Sunday, law enforcement officers arrested 55-year-old Christopher Paul Daniels from Torrance in Los Angeles County. He was captured in the upscale community of Palos Verdes Estates and denied bond. Daniels remains in federal custody. The FBI and local police agencies have connected 19 bank robberies or attempted robberies throughout various cities in Orange and Los Angeles counties since October 2021. The FBI said they believe Daniels can be connected to at least 11 of those crimes. His moniker came from a camouflage neck gaiter that he used to cover his face during robberies. According to the FBI, Daniels was arrested in a white Toyota Yaris, which is the same car seen during some of the robberies.
Earlier this year, police were involved in a shooting inside a Walmart located in Orange County. Officers responded to a call about two men allegedly trying to steal electronics. The sheriff's department released new footage of the moments leading up to a shooting that took place when officers encountered the suspects.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department recently released body camera footage of a deputy-involved shooting that broke out at a Walmart in Lake Forest earlier this year. The incident happened on January 19th, just before 10 p.m. According to authorities, a loss prevention worker called 911. The worker reported two men walking around the store who were allegedly trying to steal electronics using a fake receipt.
He has a fake receipt. It's a common fraud we see. He has it loaded on his phone. It's a fraudulent receipt. I clearly saw it in the electronics department, and they're just grabbing high-ticket merchandise. They're going to walk out soon.
The video then shows three deputies arriving at the store. Once inside, the deputies spot one of the suspects, who was identified as Ernest Aguilar. He was with an unidentified woman, according to the footage. One of the deputies can be heard informing the couple that Walmart is refusing service.
They feel like you guys are about to steal. I guess you have a fake Walmart receipt on your phone? No.
Aguilar and the woman denied the accusations. The deputies asked the couple to follow them to their cars to get the two people's information. Then one deputy notices Aguilar is carrying a knife.
It's got a knife. Where? Don't reach for it. Get your fucking hand off the knife. Sorry.
The deputies tried to handcuff Aguilar, but a physical struggle ensued. They then noticed he was armed.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun! Shoot him!
The shooting followed. After receiving treatment at a hospital, Aguilar was arrested and booked into jail with 3 accounts of assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. Court records show Aguilar is a convicted felon and cannot legally carry firearms. He has since pleaded guilty to the incident, among other charges. Aguilar is scheduled to appear in court on Friday, March 4th. The 2 other people he was with, including the women, were detained but later released.
San Jose, the largest city in the Bay Area, hit an unfortunate milestone this week. The number of pedestrian fatalities reached an all-time yearly high. NTD's Adelina Asotane has the story.
Right across from this YMCA is a street that a pedestrian got hit Wednesday just before 4:30 on Coldwater and White Drive. Police hasn't released the victim's name, but we know that he lived only a couple steps away from this intersection.
The individual driving the vehicle struck the pedestrian who was on the side of the roadway, apparently exiting his vehicle.
The victim was taken to the hospital and later died due to his injuries. The police are actively investigating this case. They are asking for anyone who witnessed the incident to reach out with any evidence and urge the driver to turn themselves in.
This individual is still not in custody and still out on the lam. We want him to turn himself in. First of all, for the benefit of the family to understand and recognize that there will be justice done for them, and two, to resolve this situation.
Officer Aponte said the department is working towards making the streets safe to walk once more.
We focus on enforcement. We are going to go out and write citations. We're going to go out and tow vehicles for people who are driving recklessly, and we're going to make sure that people who have DUIs are put behind bars.
Based on current numbers, this year has seen the highest number of pedestrian accidents compared to the same time last year.
Just based on the numbers alone and the knowledge that I have of the stats compared to last year, the 10 pedestrian deaths we've had in the city of San Jose, we didn't reach this level until midway through June of 2021.
The victim was opening this door to this exact car when he got hit. What the police is saying that we should all be very mindful when we get out on the roads, not just for the safety of ourselves, but for the safety of everyone around us. Adelina Soltane, NTD News, California.
In Los Angeles, a former Transportation Security Administration officer was arrested Wednesday for supposedly smuggling methamphetamine through the airport.
Michael Williams, 39 of Hawthorne, is charged with one federal count of attempting to distribute methamphetamine. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, he tried smuggling the drugs through Los Angeles International Airport in exchange for $8,000. According to an affidavit filed with the complaint, authorities conducted undercover operations involving Williams in 2020. Authorities suspected Williams of helping smuggle narcotics past security checkpoints at LAX. As a TSA employee with unscreened access to LAX, Williams agreed to deliver what he thought was methamphetamine in a backpack to a drug source's accomplice in the men's restroom on the secure side of the airport terminal. After taking what he believed was real narcotics, Williams allegedly transported the unscreened package containing the fake methamphetamine beyond the TSA screening area and delivered the package. Unknown to Williams, the person who accepted the package was a federal agent and exchanged $4,000 in cash in the restroom stalls on 2 occasions, prosecutors allege. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Williams was observed on LAX's security cameras exiting the restroom while wearing his TSA uniform to begin his shift screening passengers and luggage. If convicted, Williams would face up to 20 years in federal prison.
The Attorney General announced a $6 billion settlement with the Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family over their role in the opioid epidemic.
According to Attorney General Rob Bonta, the Sackler family must remove their name from buildings and institutions. If the settlement is confirmed, the Sacklers will pay up to an additional $1.675 billion to help ease the opioid crisis nationwide, bringing total plan relief to as much as $6 billion. If the plan is approved, California will receive about $486 million from the settlement to fund opioid addiction treatment and prevention.
The settlement ensures that Purdue and the Sacklers will pay up to help those suffering from substance use disorders access the help they need to recover, and provide a menu of options for cities, for counties, and states to receive funds through grants as soon as the bankruptcy court provides the necessary approvals and the Purdue bankruptcy plan becomes effective.
The company would also be forced to be dissolved or sold by 2024 and be banned from the opioid business. In 2019, the Attorney General's office filed a lawsuit against Purdue and the Sackler family for unlawful practices in the promotion and sale of opioids. The lawsuit alleged that Purdue's misleading marketing and sales practices played a major role in contributing to the nationwide opioid crisis.
Los Angeles Police Chief gave a summary of the city's January crime statistics. The new numbers are compared to January 2021. While homicides are down, almost everything else is up.
Police Chief Michael Moore presented a summary of the city's recent criminal activity statistics to the Los Angeles Police Commission. Citing year-on-year statistics for the first month of 2022, he said that homicides are down, but overall crime is up.
So our challenges are still before us to identify the chronic offenders, to identify those that are out prowling about our streets and committing both violent crime as well as these property crimes.
In January, homicides dropped by nearly 17%, but that was the only decrease. Violent crime increased by 3.9%. Property crime rose by 4.2%. The number of people shot went up by 9%. Moore voiced concerns about robberies involving firearms, which increased by 35%. He said small store robberies were targeted the most, up 62%. Overall burglaries rose to 3.1%, and personal theft went up to 7.2%. Moore says the numbers are substantially lower than 2 years ago.
I'm proud of our work. We have shifted resources to focus on the violence, and we are solving cases and making arrests for those responsible for the underlying violence.
Moore says the numbers are substantially lower than 2 years ago. His department attributes the drop on lockdowns affecting retail operations. The United States as a whole saw an increase in violent crime for this time period.
Coming up, a group is going for a second round of recalling a Los Angeles City Council member. He is also a mayoral candidate. UC Berkeley will have to freeze student enrollment for the upcoming school year. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of a residents group that sued the university for increasing student enrollment without addressing the impacts. A city next to San Francisco's Bay unveils its new fishing pier. The city wants to make its port more accessible for folks. That and more here on California Today. Another recall election may be coming up. This time it could be for a Los Angeles City Council member. And it wouldn't be the first time the groups have tried to recall him either.
Organizers who launched a previous recall campaign against Los Angeles mayoral candidate and city council member Kevin De Leon have refiled their notice. The same lead organizer, Pauline Adkins, said the frustrations have not changed, they've increased.
There's a really a great grassroots group in Boyle Heights. Kevin just made a big spectacle of himself saying he was going to go and do a cleanup at Boyle Heights. Mm-hmm. This group has done 31 cleanups by themselves, collecting tools from their neighbors with not a bit of help from Kevin.
She said the previous recall effort fell through not for lack of support. Instead, one of the 5 required proponents backed out midway. The notice lists De Leon's District 14's homelessness as crimes against humanity. Adkins said a homeless encampment has been in front of her house for a year now. She added that there has also been an increase in drug dealing. Adkins added that she has 10 kids less than 30 feet away from the encampments. De Leon said last year that nothing would derail his focus on getting homeless people off the streets as quickly as possible. He also said the recall was started by Trump supporters. Adkins said the recall is bipartisan, citing that most of her community members lean liberal. Recallers have 120 days to collect roughly 2,500 signatures once the notice is published.
A recent report found an old Army base in Monterey Bay may have led to veterans falling ill with a rare form of cancer. Now, 2 state representatives are asking the federal government to look into what happened at Fort Ord.
2 California Congress members are asking the federal government to study the connection between cancer and other diseases to potentially contaminated drinking water. Their request comes after a report from the Associated Press about possibly toxic drinking water in the now decommissioned military base Fort Ord near Monterey Bay. In a letter to the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, Katie Porter and Jimmy Panetta said a study was needed to get service members necessary medical care. AP previously reported that hundreds of people who lived and served near Fort Ord are concerned their health problems are tied to chemicals that were used there. They interviewed nearly 24 veterans who served at the base.
Would have been nice to have like water filtration or bottled water, or not to plant vegetable gardens. I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, bone marrow cancer, which was a complete and total shock. Changed my life forever.
They'd pull the central plug, bung plug on the helicopter and drain all the jet fuel right into the grass and the storm drainage system.
Gandy says he tried to warn his supervisors, but to no avail.
I knew we were breaking California environmental laws, and when I brought this up to my supervisors and tried to follow the chain of command as they tell you to do in the Army, everybody, they didn't want to hear it. They were telling me to sit down and shut up, but I didn't know what I was talking about.
Among the contaminants at the base were cancer-causing chemicals, including trichloroethylene. It's also known as TCE, a miracle degreaser. AP's review of public documents shows the Army knew that chemicals had been improperly dumped at Fort Ord for decades. To date, the military has only acknowledged troops' health could have been damaged by drinking contaminated water at a single U.S. base, Camp Lejeune in North Carolina.
On Thursday, California's Supreme Court ordered the University of California, Berkeley, to freeze its enrollment for the upcoming academic year. A group of residents say they hope to see the university focus on providing adequate housing before it expands its student population.
The Supreme Court ordered UC Berkeley to freeze its undergraduate enrollment at 2020 to 2021 levels. The university will have to accept at least 3,000 fewer students than planned for the upcoming academic year. The decision comes after a legal battle with a residents group called Save Berkeley Neighborhoods. They sued the university for failing to address the effect of increased student enrollment on housing, homelessness, traffic, and noise.
While we are pleased that the Supreme Court has upheld the trial court's imposition of a temporary pause on enrollment growth, we'd like to assure deserving California high school students that we are as disappointed as they are that UC has tried to use them as pawns in UC's attempts to avoid mitigating the impacts from the massive enrollment increases over the past few years.
The university officials said in a statement that they were extremely disheartened by the ruling and that they will continue to fight for the potential students. Save Berkeley's Neighborhoods says that the university should focus on housing.
We have offered many times to settle our case in exchange for UC Berkeley's agreement to a legally binding commitment to increase housing before they increase enrollment. We have been rebuffed every time.
AP News reported that the university will lose at least $57 million in tuition by not admitting the additional students. Meanwhile, Senator Scott Wiener proposed SB 886 last month. If passed, public universities would be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Current law requires housing projects to go through an environmental review process.
For some outdoorsy types, nothing beats a day of fishing. Now families can fish at a new fishing pier right by San Francisco's Bay. And this one is built to last. We hear more from NTD's David Lamb.
3, 2, 1. Anchors away!
The port of Redwood City, located in Northern California, has been in use since 1851. On Thursday, port officials unveiled a revamped public fishing pier built from cement.
So the fishing pier has been used by a lot of local people to come and fish right off the dock, but it had become dilapidated, so we have spent about $2 million revamping, making it accessible.
Officials said this port is one of the recreational places and hope families can benefit from it.
And that's one of the unique characteristics of Redwood City. Not many cities are on the water, right? We have this wonderful water with us, and so it's wonderful having this fishing pier so that we can encourage our families to come out and enjoy the water.
Within an hour, folks already stopped by to test the waters. Well, there you have it. He's the first person to officially cast a line on this fishing pier. Another port commissioner says the pier allows folks a chance to enjoy fishing, particularly those that are handicapped or don't own boats.
As a youngster when I was an early teenager, I would come out here and fish off the wooden pier, but all we would catch was these little tiny things. And then after a while, we'd take them home and barbecue them, and after a while, it just wasn't worth the effort. So we stopped coming out fishing, but that was a while ago.
Kastrop tells NTD the ocean has a special place in her heart.
Oh, for me, as a long time sailor, the ocean brings not only enjoyment and feeling closer to our beautiful earth and the planet, but also knowing that we live in one of the most beautiful environments here by the bay. It's just a feeling of satisfaction and happiness.
According to the port, more than 45 million people go fishing in the U.S. every year. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup. Andy Murray and Sophia Keenan have been handed wildcard spots for this month's Indian Wells tournament, organizers said on Tuesday. The BNP Paribas Open Twitter page posted a photo of the pair with the caption, "Here they come," whose best result at the tournament in the Southern California desert was in 2009, when he was thrashed by Rafael Nadal in a final. Lost in the third round of the Masters 1000 tournament last year. The Briton also lost his wedding ring during the event after attaching it to his smelly sneakers, which he had put under his car. After an appeal on social media, the ring and the sneakers were returned. Keenan had a breakthrough at Indian Wells in 2018, when as a teenager she entered the top 100 by reaching the second round as a qualifier. The American won the Australian Open in 2020 and has reached as high as world number 4. The Indian Wells main draw begins the WTA matches on March 9th and ATP action on March 10th, and wraps up on March 20th. Rory McIlroy said on Wednesday and battled golfer Phil Mickelson, who is taking time away from the game amid fallout from comments he made regarding the Saudi-backed Super Golf League and PGA Tour, deserves another chance. Mickelson received pressure last week over his consideration of joining the Saudi-backed Super League and promoting the idea amongst PGA golf circles. He had pointed to the many perks of moving away from the PGA, including increased media rights and a larger prize pool. An author of an upcoming unauthorized biography on Mickelson recently released excerpts of the book, in which the golfer called the Saudis scary, but said he was willing to look past their human rights records to gain leverage with the PGA Tour. Saudi Arabia's government has denied accusations of human rights abuses. Mickelson apologized for the comments, which he claimed were off the record, but the six-time major champion and longtime fan favorite has since found himself isolated and lost a number of sponsors. No golfers have publicly signed up for the proposed rival league, which is trying to lure top players away from the PGA Tour with promise of huge paydays. Northern Irishman McIlroy, who is among a slew of big-name players who have all but written off the Super Golf League, said he fully expects to see Mickelson make his return. World number 5 McIlroy said everyone makes mistakes, and that he hopes to see Mickelson, 51, back on the tour. As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, feel free to let us know. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.